Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Wrap Up Live. This is the official Raptors Republic post-game live show where we recap, we dissect, and we talk about the latest Raptors game. And we understand it is super late. This was a 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern game. So obviously they're playing at 7 in the West Coast. And it's 12:30 in the morning right now, and we're still here. So we're here to deliver you the post-game live show. It's myself and it's Kyle Brickman here today. This show is produced by none other than Chris Howson-Jan. And again, I'm your host, Sahal Abdi. And I want to quickly say, Kyle, honestly, before I get to anything to do with the game, it feels nice to come off a Raptors win, man. It feels super good. I'm tired, but it feels super good. Tonight, your Toronto Raptors were defeated by the Sacramento Kings, 108-89, bringing the Raptors record to 8-9 on the season. And don't forget, guys, we love to interact. So if you want your comment pinned and you want discussion to be found, send a super chat to spark conversation at any point during our live show. And I promise, not only will your comment get pinned, but we'll talk about it. Unless, of course, it's a bit vulgar. And then maybe we'll still talk about it. Kyle, wow, what a game. The second half was kind of hard to watch, to be honest, because it felt like the Toronto Raptors, it was like the game was over. And I just didn't know if at what point I should walk away from my TV. I'm sure a lot of Raptors fans in the mid-fourth quarter were just like, you know what, I'm going to bed. I understand it's Friday night, but it is what it is. I'm gone. Pascal Siakam, wow. Kyle, Pascal Siakam, man. Like, we're talking about a guy that was catching a lot of flack. He was catching a whole lot of flack. I was actually on Sportsnet Fan 590 Radio. I got invited to come on for a pregame before the Kings game. And myself and Shoaib, who's a producer at Fan 590, were talking about Pascal Siakam. And we know that's been a talking point amongst Raptors fans about how Spicy P hasn't really been spicy. And, since he's came back, the Raptors have kind of faltered. I think the record with him is like 1-6 or something along those lines, 0-5 or something. I don't know. I think maybe this is the first win with Pascal, if I'm not mistaken. But holy, Kyle, we saw like all NBA second team Pascal tonight. What were your thoughts on how he was dominating? Because the Kings tried everything.
Yeah, it's weird to say that this was like a must-win game because it's not even a quarter of the way through the season, but like it kind of felt like a must-win. It would have really been panic mode had they lost this game. And I think Siakam, he had a bad night in Utah, but I was more impressed tonight with his effort defensively than I was offensively. I mean, he hit every single shot, and that's partially because the Kings didn't really have a good matchup for him. Like, he's too quick for Holmes. He's too strong for Barnes. He's just too good for Bagley, really.
Yeah.
Like, Bagley's a good physical matchup, but it's just not. Siakam's on another level than that guy. And you're right. Paul B here is right. Like, this is peak Raptors here. This is the Raptors team that will win, that went on that 5-game win streak, that will like seriously put pressure on the better teams in the East. And maybe we should pump the brakes just a little bit because it is the Kings, but it seemed like whether it was just the individual performances or the game plan, it seemed like everything went right tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was watching the game at first and I was thinking to myself, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like we're going to see a Gary Trent game. And here was Pascal. We did see a pretty good Gary Trent game. I mean, he wasn't missing at certain points of the game, but Pascal was like, you know what? It's just about over. I'm going to prove to you guys, all the haters. You guys see what the title is. You guys see what the title of tonight's live show is. All the haters are sleeping, Kyle. They went to bed. They're gone. They're in their third dream. All the people who are supporting Pascal are hopefully here. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about Pascal because I've been preaching, give him patience. This is a guy who's coming off injury, much like Chris Boucher. And to be fair, people may call me a hypocrite, because I was criticizing Chris Boucher, but I felt like, my criticism, I waited, I think 5, 6, 7 games for Chris. And once I started seeing the same things, I was like, okay, like Chris, like, we can't keep using the same excuse with you. And shout out to Chris. He played incredible as well. Like he was,
Chris
besides
has had a good couple
Pascal.
games. Chris is putting
Yeah,
together a good
besides
little stretch here.
absolutely. Besides Pascal and Gary Trent Jr., he might have been the best Raptor tonight. He was fighting down low. Him and Rashawn Holmes were battling. And what I love about Chris is it doesn't matter what the score is really. Chris Boucher is going to fight. Like he's going to fight. He's not obviously a guy with tons of muscle mass on him. He's a thin guy, but he's wiry, and that doesn't stop him from really fighting. Like 12 rebounds in 24 minutes, couple blocks, a couple more would-be blocks that were called fouls. Contributed scoring. But man, before we even like really get into Chris and all the bench guys, we got to give Pascal his due, man, because this is exactly the type of game we needed to see from Pascal Siakam. I don't know about you, but when they were playing on I guess when you're watching on TV, it's the right side of the court. Every bucket in front of the Kings bench that Pascal was scoring, the coaches couldn't believe it. Like you can watch them on some of these buckets on this side from Pascal. They cannot believe some of the shots he's making. This one, you see their hands just come up to their face and they're just in confusion. But Pascal can hit these shots. So, I mean, I'm glad. I'm happy for Pascal. He made, shots in every which way. His shot profile looked great. This shot was incredible because once he hit this, I was like, okay, I think we're going to see good Pascal tonight. Kyle, what else did you see from his game that you really liked?
Yeah, I think, there's the shot profile kind of was consistent with the other night in Utah, the only exception being that he hit these shots. And I think he started off, I mean, if you look at you go through his shot, his makes and misses. I don't know if there would be a ton around the rim. There was still like a heavy jump shot game, but he started off and he at least had some rim pressure, which let him kind of get into a rhythm a little bit and get those jump shots off. Because it felt like the other night in Utah, he was with Gobert in there. He really avoided kind of taking the ball hard to the paint, and he kind of avoided that tonight. It didn't even really matter. Like he was just hitting everything. It was just one of those nights. Like guys have these types of nights. They just hit everything. I wouldn't expect this every single night, but I definitely think that he'll be like, this is a night where he won't be name searching on Twitter. Pascal's going to bed very happy, very content. He's got nothing to worry about. I'm sure no one's hating on him. I hope he has a good sleep. I hope he's sleeping as well. Honestly, he deserves it. Like this, I'm sure that feels awesome for him too. And I'm happy for the man.
To be honest with you, no, I'm not going to say that because people are going to be like, you're hating. I was going to say Chris Boucher is still going to be searching up his name tonight, but just to get at people like me who, it wasn't even that bad. But yeah, I loved what I saw from Pascal. Like you guys are watching it yourself. You saw the hook shot. You saw the spot up three. You're seeing everything from Pascal in this game. There's no way. There's no way. Come on, producer, don't do that to me. There's no way. You watch this game from Pascal as a hater, because Pascal does have haters within the Toronto Raptors fan base. Everybody who is a Toronto Raptors fan has a friend that's just constantly getting at Pascal Siakam. So, show them this. I mean, yes, it's the Kings, but the Kings have some long, wiry guys as well. It's not like, these are NBA players too. It's like Bagley, Chimezie Metu. They put everybody on him. And Barnes is a pretty solid defender. Buddy Hield was on him there. They tried everybody. So, I don't know what else to say. I'm happy for Pascal.
Absolutely. Honestly, like this is the type of performance that reminds you, it's been years since we've seen this type of Pascal performance. This type of performance reminds you that like, oh, this guy is a, a viable first option on a decent team. He was a great second or third option on a championship team. Like this is the type of guy that Raptors fans have been waiting for forever. So if he can even be like 50% of what he was tonight for the rest of this road trip, I think Raptors fans will be ecstatic. I'm ecstatic, honestly.
Let's talk about some Trent Jr. because this is a guy for me who, oh my, like we're talking about a guy who, quite honestly, doesn't pass the ball all that. I think Raptors fans kind of know that by now. He he's a guy who's just a shot creator. He's a shot maker. He's a shot taker, whatever you want to call him. He puts the ball up and he doesn't give the ball up. But Gary Trent Jr., I think, has been hitting at such an effective rate that you can't be mad at that. So, finish this game. I believe that says 23 points. He was 5 for 11 from three. I am happy with what I saw from Gary Trent Jr. He played a game that Nick Nurse wanted to see. I mean, we saw typical Gary Trent, the pest from, outside defensively from the perimeter, 23 points. Every single shot that they needed Gary Trent Jr. to hit in this game, he hit. I love this specific play that they ran for him. That little curl. Oh my gosh, why am I stuttering to say that? That little curl he ran to the corner. That elbow shot. Gary, I gotta give him credit. Like, he can almost shoot at every angle with his body. Like, it doesn't matter where he's fading away from, where he's running towards. He could be fading to his left, fading to his right. He could be even dribbling to his left. And that play, you see him dribbling to his left. There's no way a basketball player, should be making that shot. Like, that just shouldn't go in. And I think I kind of felt bad for Kings fans, because if you're watching this as a Kings fan, you were probably like, damn, like, just miss one shot, like just a single shot. That you understand. Like, that shot we saw right there from Gary Trent Jr., you get it. I understand that completely. But there were certain shots that it's like, damn, this guy's really a bucket getter. Gary Trent Jr. looked good, man. He looked damn good, Kyle.
He's the type of guy, like, if he can get it going like this is like, he can win you games, and he can put games that are in close contention out of contention early in games when he's shooting like this. And teams need guys like this. I think he's a valuable asset based on his defense alone. I think Saul's out of the Saul's out of the broadcast. He's a valuable player based on defense alone, who's making no shots whatsoever. So, I mean, as long as he's knocking down shots like this, I think any team in the NBA would love to have a guy like this. And there was some talk about trading Powell away, who was a more accomplished player, and signing Trent for the approximately the same price, maybe a little bit less. But there was some concern about, like, Powell, who was a better and more accomplished player, gets shipped out of the door because they don't want to pay his contract. And yet they signed Trent to a similar contract. There's probably not any concern about that anymore. I think every Raptors fan, Trent is not only incredible, he's young, and the contract he's on, similar to the OG contract, where they signed him earlier, a little bit unproven, didn't exactly show that he was worthy of the contract prior to signing it. This contract in a couple years is going to look so good, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, sometimes I struggle to believe how young Gary Trent Jr. still is. I really can't believe it. You watch him and he just carries himself like he's 26, 27, 28 years old. And I believe now he's 23. I believe last season he was 22. I don't know if his birthday has hit yet. Someone might have to fact check that in the comments. But still, as a 23-year-old, I mean, this is a guy who can just ball. He doesn't even have to really become that great of a playmaker. I think as long as he just plays within the system and passes when he really needs to. I think Gary Trent Jr., you have a guy who came into this game, played with a bench that really needed his scoring, really needed his 3-point output. If you look who's on the court with on this play, Svi, Boucher, Precious, Delano, like, these are all bench guys. And if you throw, one more bench guy into this and take out Gary Trent Jr., I don't know if, they have the same success. They need a guy who's just an alpha offensively. The bench guys, Delano's not really that. He's young. You don't really blame him. But Gary's becoming the type of guy that can really play well with the starters and the bench, which you love to see. And I think that's giving Nick Nurse more options. So I'm excited from what I saw from that.
We got to fact check that player option in 22-23. I think the player option's 23-24, but we'll have Chris on that. Because I'm very certain that it's a multi-year deal.
Yeah, so he turns 23 next year. Yeah, Malachi's older than him. I can't really believe that. I can't. It's hard to believe. Yeah. And speaking of Malachi, we'll get to him a bit later. But it's unbelievable, really, how young Gary Trent Jr. is. This guy is still green. He's not ripe just yet. This is a guy who, maybe 2-3 years, we're really going to see him in his prime. And who knows, like if this is a guy that can give you 25, 20 on any given night in the league, doesn't matter what opponent it is, this contract's looking pretty good. It honestly is. And I'm not saying this just based off of one game. Kyle, we're talking the whole season. Gary Trent Jr. has looked pretty damn solid defensively and offensively. I mean, with his shot profile, you're not going to see a guy that's going to shoot efficient every single night. You don't expect that from Gary Trent Jr. But if he can give you this, more often than not, then you're happy with the output. So I was happy with that. I was happy with Gary Trent Jr. almost being responsible for widening the gap between the Raptors and the Kings in this game. Another thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just going to say it wasn't really required of him tonight, but what impressed us other nights was the playmaking, and tonight it really wasn't there. I mean, 1 assist, 17 shots. It's not great. And it's crazy to think that that's really the one thing he has left to develop. Because if that becomes like an aspect where he can be that second guard next to Fred VanVleet, run the pick and roll and actually distribute out of the pick and roll, it's a different team. It's a completely different team.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we go to the bad next, or should we just keep going with the good and keep it rolling? I'm gonna.
Is there bad? Let's go good. Forget no. There's
a tiny bit.
12:48. Who cares about the bad?
I know. You're right. You're right. I was gonna say, this wasn't the type of game that we kind of wanted to see from Scotty Barnes. He played quite a bit. I mean, you're looking at the box score here. I think it says 33 minutes. He didn't really shoot all that well. And at times you also saw, Fred and some of the other guards just a little bit confused with his play. 7 rebounds and 6 assists is great. That's what you love about Scotty. He's almost like a bigger Kyle Lowry. Andrew, I'm not always negative. Don't say that. I'm just objective. I like seeing it from both sides. We can't just have this, the wrap up just be us just, talking about the greatness of players nonstop. We got to bring out a little bit. I need to ask, what's wrong with Scotty in this game? He did, look a little off. It's nothing to be really concerned about. But like I said, Scotty's the type of guy that when he doesn't give you scoring, he gives you that. A no-look pass to Kem Birch. He rebounds really well. His defense was, like it was all right. It wasn't, spectacular. There was times where it just looked like he was mentally out of it. But, you can't, I feel like we're almost spoiled now with Scotty Barnes. Like we expect him to have a great game every single night and look like one of the better Raptors. And now, like when he struggles a little bit, we kind of pinpoint it. So I understand. It's totally understandable with Scotty. He's not going to have a great night every single night. And that could be a point, like Missy, that he could just be tired. I think that kind of does him a little bit of injustice. I mean, I'm a big Draymond Green fan, Andrew, but he does do a lot of things that Draymond does. I think he's a plus playmaker. He's a very good defender. But the scoring is totally different. I mean, Draymond doesn't even want to shoot the ball, Kyle.
Yeah, that comment is like weirdly disrespectful to Scotty and Draymond simultaneously.
Yeah, somehow managed to do that. No, but I'm excited. The producer just fact checked it for us. He says Trent's player options in 23-24, according to Spot Track. So for all those wondering about Gary Trent Jr.'s contract, you have it. And yeah, listen to Ryan. This is our guy who comes every single live show and reminds you guys to like, because we get a bunch of watchers. If you look, at our shows and where we usually win, the views are there, but the likes, guys, we got to get them up. And yes, I'm begging. You could say whatever you want. You could comment. I love the hate. I love the love. You guys know me. As long as you guys are talking about this show, I'm happy. So we talked about Pascal. We talked about Gary Trent Jr., Kyle. We got to mention the bench, man. We talked about Scotty a little bit, but we got to mention the bench. I told you guys I'm not going to harp on the negative. You're not going to get that version of Sahal today. We got to talk about the bench because the bench looked phenomenal in this game. They didn't skip a beat. If anything, forget skipping a beat. They almost picked up the beat and ran with it. You saw Delano, who again just looked nothing like a rookie in this game. Nothing. He looked nothing like a rookie. We already mentioned Chris Boucher had a pretty solid game. Precious was Precious did some good things, and he did some other weird things where, Precious is still, Kyle, I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like when he's underneath the net, he misses these gimmies that, like, Cambridge almost never misses. And I don't know if it's a mental thing. I keep calling it a mental thing, but I
He's
don't
got
know, because
Precious has
it's
such like
weird.
a football player playing basketball vibe. Like it's like he's like
Yeah.
so athletic, but it's just like something. It's like he doesn't fully have like a grasp over his athleticism yet. Like he kind of like too strong for his own good. Sometimes he's a little too aggressive for his own good. I think, and I trust the Raptors development system. If he becomes like the type of composed big that the Raptors have had in the past, like he's a really valuable, like potential all-star level guy. And the
Yeah.
Raptors got good minutes from their centers altogether tonight. We have to shout out, like, if we're as hard on Chris Boucher as we are, in losses, like Chris had a good night. I was a little upset. I still don't know why he shoots as often as he does because he has such a green light. And at this point, like that light should be yellow or red. But that
Hmm.
doesn't mean he should be out of the
Maybe
rotation.
yellow after this game, Kyle. Maybe yellow
Yeah.
after this game.
Well, he's 3 for 9. So I mean, the bar is
Okay.
that low. If the bar is
Maybe
like
you might have a
1 for
point.
8, going up to 3 for 9 is not like. But seriously, like he actually still has a place in the rotation in my mind. Like he's a good help defender,
Yeah.
good enough. He like gives some decent energy. He's long, gets in passing lanes. I I think maybe he's struggling with the introduction of the newer bigs. Maybe he feels like he has to do too much to maintain his minutes. But if he just
Mm.
plays consistently like he did tonight, get on the glass, play good defense, the only thing holding him back is ironically like his willingness to shoot, which is like he hits some open threes, but he keeps launching these contested shots. If he cuts that out, he is like he's in starting contention. I honestly think that
Hmm.
Chris could start for this team if he refined his shot selection a little bit.
I think the thing with Chris is he's so damn streaky that people, if you remember last season, he was shooting it just as much during that hot streak. But the thing is, he's making the shot. So Nick Nurse was like, shoot as much as you want. Like if you're gonna hit 48% of your threes, like go right ahead, sling everything at the rim. But it's almost like Chris. It's almost like the green, like everybody has that one friend who plays basketball and just has that green light no matter what. Whether he's literally 1 for 10 in pickup or whatever it is, he has the green light. Um, I think Chris, you're right. He just needs to learn. I think 3 for 9 in a game where I thought he shot over 60%. I think he just needs to learn that. But I think other than that, he played a fantastic game. Like we said, he was super aggressive all over the rim. He made life so hard for guys like Rashawn Holmes. Rashawn Holmes, by the way, if Oren was here, I would have said that's Oren's like BFF.
That's his
Oren
guy.
talked about Rashawn Holmes nonstop last season. Because obviously last season was just like loss after loss after loss. And it was like, all right, Sahal, what do you think? Who do you think the Raptors are going to go for in free agency? And then it was like Rashawn Holmes, and that was Oren's guy. So kind of feel sad Oren's not here to talk about Rashawn Holmes just getting bodied by Chris Boucher in the paint. But Chris, if we can actually bring up that tweet again, Fred VanVleet speaking about the bench, I think it speaks a lot to the bench when you're your leader. This is the clear cut leader of the team, Fred VanVleet. He says they really won us that game tonight and change the momentum of the game, and that's what good benches do. The only thing I'm mad about is that I had to go back into the game in the fourth quarter. Uh, I mean, that's not really the bench. I mean, that's Nick Nurse more than anything. Nick Nurse has like a penchant for like just leaving his first 7 or 8 guys and just not giving his bench guys minutes until the game's absolutely like out of hand. I kept wondering, and this is where I wanted to bring in Malachi Flynn and even Justin Champagny. I was wondering why, it took so long for those guys to enter the game. I felt like the entire second half, Kyle, we were watching a Raptors team just dominate the Sacramento Kings. The game was all the way up. I think they were up 30 at one point or 32 at one point. And I was wondering, I was like, when are we going to see Malachi? When are we going to see Justin? When is he just going to, throw out that all bench lineup where maybe even Precious can even sit down or Delano doesn't even have to be on the floor, right? Because my worry is, Kyle, the Raptors were 1-6 in their last 7 games. And for me, it's like, you have this game in hand. There's 5 or 6 minutes left. You're up 22. I know the Kings made a little run with a few minutes remaining. But in my opinion, it's like you've won one of your last 7 games. Why are you not just giving these guys a chance? Like, just give them some sort of chance. And if anything, how it also works is you're giving your starters some rest.
Yeah,
Nick
that's what I
Nurse
was
has
going to
been
say.
giving, Nick Nurse has been giving Pascal and all these guys 40 minutes, 42 minutes, 43 minutes, 41 minutes. And I'm looking at Nick like, okay, like this is your chance to kind of give Pascal some rest or Scotty some rest. And I mean, he obviously gave them more rest than usual, but I think Flynn, should have maybe played a little more. I don't know about you, Kyle, if you agree.
I think just not even Flynn, just like the Raptors were winning by more than 20 for what, like the last 15 minutes of the game, some like
Yeah.
approximately, whatever. And Trent ends up with 36 minutes. They're in the middle of a long road trip. Like Trent's playing 36 minutes in a game that wasn't within 20 for the last third of the game. What's going like get this guy a rest. Get Fred a rest. OG played like averaged about 39 minutes for the 10 games before he got injured. That's not like uncoincidental. There's a reason that OG is injured, and at least part of it has to do with the fact that he was just so overworked. And it's a reality that these guys do load management. These guys do take nights off. These guys do take reduced minutes when they're struggling with injury. It's because like these NBA minutes weigh on guys. They cause injuries. They cause stiffness. They cause tiredness. The Raptors are in the middle of a long road trip. I think it's indefensible that Gary Trent's playing 36 minutes. I don't think Barnes should have played as much as he did. And so regardless of getting the young guys in, I don't care. Maybe Flynn or Dragic or anyone. Nick Nurse
Yeah.
could have checked himself in the game. I would have been happy. But these guys, like, like these guys shouldn't be playing this much on a long road trip in a game that's not close. So it's hard to be this critical. They won big, but like, you're gonna kill these guys. These NBA players, like, they're not. This isn't 1970 where like you play these games every single night at a high level. The level of athleticism in the league is too high to play this many minutes every single night. You got to buy opportunities for rest.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is just. I agree with you. I think this is a game where you didn't necessarily need any starter to play over 30 minutes. I would have loved to see the starters all in the 20s, and that gives Justin and Malachi and Delano. Even Delano had only 11 minutes in a game where the Raptors were up 25, 20 the entire game. Like I said, almost 30. Savi played a very good game. Maybe you want to see him in the mid 20s. It's just myself, Oren, you, Aiden, we've all talked about it ad nauseum about how Nick Nurse loves to play the starters a bunch of minutes. And this, would have been the perfect game to just, give them a little bit of a rest. You're right. Gary Jr., 36 minutes. Like that to me just doesn't make any sense. And I get it. Maybe Nick Nurse was thinking to himself that, if I just throw in a Malachi in there, things might fall apart. But I don't know if they would have, especially if you're throwing in a Malachi with Fred beside him and Pascal. And I think that's when Malachi should see the floor. If you can just put Malachi and maybe 3 starters or 4 starters in with him to make him feel comfortable where he doesn't feel like he has to do everything, I'm okay with that. People in the comments have mentioned that Yuta Watanabe, he's not even back yet. So what happens when Utah's back? Like we might never see Malachi.
Chris, I think was watching last night and heard what he was like saying. Because I was saying last night, there's an obsession amongst Raptors fans, like, bro, everything's going back to normal when Utah comes back. This is a championship contender. Utah's coming back in the lineup. Like it's like so. Chris, I think, is referencing what we were talking about last night, which is like Utah's not the savior of this team. He's a good rotation piece.
Yeah.
Honestly, Chris, that's a really good bit. I'm happy that
I
you're with us every night to make that joke.
I feel awful because it's almost like, in Malachi's case, and I'm focusing a lot on Malachi because I feel like he's kind of been the odd man out of the rotation this year. In Malachi's case, it's like, just don't play him at all. Like 3 minutes, like you took him out when the Raptors, I'm pretty sure, were up 20 or 20 plus. It's like, just don't even put him back in. And same as Justin as well. I just think you just don't play them at all if you're going to play them 3 minutes in the game. I would have loved to see like Malachi really get his confidence up in a game like this. Let's talk a little bit about, Fred, because I think Fred, if we can get the box score back up, Chris, I think he didn't really shoot all that well tonight.
No, like
Fred
5 for 14.
was,
Yeah,
5 for 14. So he really didn't shoot all that well tonight. He did have 7 turnovers, which is quite a bit for Fred in just 32 minutes played. But again, the one thing that sticks out is he had the highest plus minus on the team. So he must have been doing something right. It was him and Gary Trent Jr. with plus 23s in the box score. So that's why I think it felt like Fred, despite him not shooting well, it didn't feel like he was holding the team back necessarily. The turnovers, of course, that's pretty alarming. Like, I'm not going to act like that's not, we can just shrug that off. If it was like 2, 3, even 4 turnovers, maybe you shrug it off as just a bad. But 7 is quite a bit in 32 minutes. So that's Russell Westbrook like. And then now we're gonna get Russell Westbrook stands. Like, why do you gotta, bring up Russell Westbrook? The Lakers suck, man. Come on.
There's a I think
this shot was incredible.
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out the Kings, like, this is a good win. The Kings shot 24% from 3, and that includes Buddy Hield going 3 for 12. Like, teams aren't going to shoot like this every single night. To be fair, teams have been shooting like 60% from 3 against the Raptors. They're not going to shoot like that every night either. But 25% from 3 for a team that's like, they're not necessarily a bad shooting team. And Hield is a good shooter, 3 for 12 or whatever it was. That's not representative of his ability. So I think the Raptors benefited a little bit from luck tonight. A lot of shots that, there's just randomness. That's what makes basketball so interesting. Is there's an element of randomness, and the Raptors were pretty lucky tonight. And I imagine they would have won the game anyway. But like, you're right, 7 turnovers without Pascal's big night. This could have been a very different type of night and a different type of wrap up. It could have been a much more negative wrap up tonight.
I don't know if I would have been here, Kyle, to be honest, man. I don't know if I would have been here. I'm looking at the box score as well for the Kings side, and it looks pretty damn sad because, you see your typical everyone's a minus 11 and a minus 14. But you look at Tristan Thompson, and remember, this is a guy, we talked about this as well on Fan 590, I think a couple hours before the game, myself and Shoaib, about how Tristan Thompson went on a crazy rant about, we don't need to be inspired by a coach, Luke Walton. Like, we don't need that. Like, Luke Walton shouldn't be the guy inspiring us. You should come out. You should feel privileged to play in this league and blah, blah. And I basically said to Show in our discussion that what Tristan was saying was essentially right. Like, this guy's played for a winning franchise with the Cleveland Cavaliers when they had LeBron James. That team was going to the finals every single year. He was on a pretty solid Boston team last year. Like, that Boston team made the playoffs. Like, they weren't terrible. And I was really taking what he was saying, but obviously his rant was laced with profanity, by the way. So I basically told Show, I'm like, listen, the profanity didn't necessarily have to be there. Like, I get it, Tristan, we get it. Like, he's a reality TV guy, but this is what I was gonna mention. Litmus is taking it right out of my mouth. How the hell are you a minus 15 in only 9 minutes played? Bro, it felt like every minute he was on the court, he was pushing Chris Boucher in the back.
Yeah, bro is just out there running around. He's got one steal. He was just out there running suicides. Like, that's a bad look.
I was so confused. I was like, what is going on with Tristan Thompson? Being a minus 15 in 9 minutes is hard to do on NBA 2K. Like, that's extremely hard to do. I don't know what Tristan Thompson was doing. That's some great stats we got to see. This is why I love our producer. Tristan Thompson with an incredible 1 steal and a couple fouls. I don't want to go too far because I feel like now the anti-Canadian side of me is coming up. So I'm not going to do that. Tristan Thompson's Canadian. We're proud to have him. I was actually asked as well. One of the questions I was asked was, what do you think about a Tristan Thompson buyout? And would he be an option for the Toronto Raptors? I'm going to let the comment section answer that because you guys are super active tonight. I don't know how. It's 1 a.m. It's Friday night or Saturday morning, whichever really one you want to say. You guys are crazy active. Would you guys take Tristan Thompson on a league minimum if he were to get bought out by the Sacramento Kings?
Darren
can answer with a simple.
Darren Bicknell's fingers working overtime. I'm checking the comment section. Darren, sorry, we see you, buddy. Don't worry. We're on to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We're not even getting a single yes. Okay. All right, guys. Wow. And the front court depth has not really been there for the Raptors, to be quite honest. Precious has struggled. And the fact that you can't get even Tristan Thompson, free Bol. Okay. Damn. I'm a big Bol guy. This guy said I'd rather have Kanye. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, that's enough. We're going to stop asking you guys these questions now. Yeah, well, I echoed the same thing, Kyle. I just wanted to hear their opinion.
I'm going to do Oren justice by bringing this up because I know he's probably, if he's watching at home, he's going to be like, pulling his hair out that no one mentioned this. Rashawn Holmes could have been a Raptor had they just let Lowry walk instead of done this sign and trade.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a great night. Admittedly, it was a pretty poor night, pretty nothing night from Holmes. But just keep in mind that Rashawn Holmes could have been a Raptor. It could have been, like Maurice Crosdale says here, it could have been at least an option the Raptors had instead of Dragic, who isn't seeing the floor, and Achua, who hasn't really convinced me of his worth thus far. I'm sure maybe he will, and I hope he does. Again, I hope he does. But Rashawn Holmes could have been on this Raptors team right now. And I'm just going to put that out there. And if Warren's watching, I hope you're happy with me.
Yeah, that's Rashawn Holmes. Like I said, that's his BFF. He signed a 4-year, $55 million contract. And I don't know, like I watched Rashawn and I was a big fan of him last year. I've been really a fan of him his entire career with the 76ers. He's just a super energetic guy, but he reminds me a lot of Kem Birch. Like Kem Birch brings a lot of the qualities that you can get in Rashawn Holmes for a lot cheaper. So I don't know, 4 years, 55. I mean, the Kings you can keep that, I
No,
guess, for
I'm
now.
kind of with that, though. I think Rashawn Holmes is like the premium quality Ken Burch. It's like they got like the leather seats upgrade, the cup holders, like the GPS. That's like the
Yeah.
Rashawn Holmes. Like I'm kind of with Rashawn Holmes. And we've seen how well Ken Burch meshes with this team. So you're telling me I get like a Ken Burch-like player who's better, more proven, a little bit more athletic, taller. I don't know. I'm not going to say no to that, especially when
Like
Dragic is like
yeah,
riding the bench.
I definitely think would I take Rashawn Holmes? Absolutely on this team. I just look at it realistically from a money perspective, and I think the Raptors get 80% of Rashawn Holmes or 75% of Rashawn Holmes from Kem
Yeah,
Birch. In I don't know what Kem Birch is getting this year. Is he getting seven this year?
six,
And
7, something like that. That range.
and that's almost half of what Rashawn
It's a
Holmes is getting.
steal.
Rashawn's getting, if my math is right, 13 and a half, 14 million a year, 4 years, 55. I think that's close to 14 if I'm not mistaken. So I'm okay with Kem. I love what Kem Birch brings. He had a great game. We barely even talked about him. He played really good, but I would definitely take Rashawn Holmes if all things were equal for sure. I'm a big fan of his game. I'm a big fan of a lot of these Kings. I was talking about how I like De'Aaron Fox earlier today. He played, I mean, the 22 points looks nice, but he just did not look interested in playing a lick of defense today. Yeah, there's a bunch of guys out there. I know everyone's like putting out their favorite bigs in the comments. Someone mentioned Isaiah
If
Hartenstein.
you know, you
Hartenstein.
know. Bro, I don't know. You got to put me on Isaiah Hartenstein because I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think people are talking about Moses Brown. I think is that the OKC kid who got traded to Dallas, I believe, and now he's playing for what's Dallas's G League affiliate? Is it the something Legends, the Texas Legends, or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know off the
I don't know.
top of my head.
I think you just roll with. I mean, if you go with a third big, maybe, but I think you just roll with Precious and Birch, and maybe you look at the trade deadline as an option for any team that's willing to take a Dragic or I guess even a Malachi Flynn. That hurts me to say, but it's like if we're not going to play him, and there's now Delano Banton's clearly ahead of him in the depth chart. I mean, the big position is the clear one that the Raptors need to upgrade on. So we'll see. That would be nice, guys. I would take that, honestly. Dragic for Moses Brown. I would do that. I definitely would. I know Dragic doesn't really bring value to this team. Like I know people say like he brings the intangibles because he's a veteran and it's the leadership, but it's like that's always been like to me. So I mean, it is what it is. What else? Who are we forgetting? I think we talked about almost every Raptor that really did well tonight.
I think
Am I forgetting
I did
anyone?
want to ask.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a moment with Fred, kind of going back to Fred. There's a moment in the second quarter
Yeah.
where he was like chewing out Scotty a little bit. Like he was kind of getting at Scotty about it was not going to be in the highlight pack. I didn't try to go highlight. He was kind of chewing out Scotty about like him kind of sitting in the corner instead of cutting through and opening up the side to give Fred a little space. And it was interesting because I remember Lowry holding teammates accountable like that, like really getting on guys, but I don't think I've really seen that from Fred yet. And it's hard to say, especially when you're not watching the games live, like in person. the camera's not always on Fred. I don't know who he's talking to at all times, but I think that was kind of interesting. I'm kind of down for that. I'd like if there was a solid leader, like a single leader that emerged from this team, and Fred was really getting on other guys because he's been objectively the best Raptor. Yeah, hey, can I just say Chris is on it tonight. I don't know how Chris found this one. It's such a nothing moment.
Great.
But yeah, this is like Fred. You can kind of see him being like, "Hey, what was that?" And Scotty is like, clearly sheepish, like he knows he did something wrong. It's interesting. I would kind of love, even though it looks a little ugly, I'd kind of love Fred to be that guy. I'd love Fred to be like a little bit angrier, a little bit more on guys. I think that's kind of what the team needs sometimes, because Nurse is like chill uncle type guy. It doesn't really seem like he's really getting at people. Like he doesn't seem like Nurse is the type of guy to like really go after a certain guy in a timeout. He seems like he's just a different type of zen. And teams kind of need like a dog. Like you need a guy who's going to like get at your throat, get angry at you. And I'm kind of down with Fred as like a, that type of player.
Fred is really taking this Kyle Lowry role on. Like he's, I mean, after watching this clip, it's like he's really doing it now. Like if he's, this is exactly, I think, what Kyle would have done. Kyle's played with all of these guys as rookies. Fred, Gary was, I think he was still 22 last season, but Kyle was playing with him. Like Kyle's played with a lot of these guys in their younger years, Pascal, and he has no problem calling them out. So Fred's looking at Scotty like, what the hell are you doing? I don't know what the exact context is. I think someone said that Scotty had his head down and Fred, I do know what it resulted in a Fred turnover. Nick says Scotty missed a pass and went out of bounds because he had his head down. So, I really like this role that we're seeing in this entire transition we're seeing of Fred VanVleet's career, where he's really embracing this leadership role. I think he has to. Pascal's not really gonna call out guys on the court. He's just not. He's a leader off the court for sure. I heard that he actually hosted Kyle the Halloween party for the Raptors this year. Where, by the way,
good video.
Bobby Webster went crazy. If that was him in that outfit, you guys need to check that out. Bobby Webster, the GM of the Toronto Raptors. If what I saw was real and it wasn't like some because now I don't know, Kyle. I gotta ask. I don't know now, because remember that fake tweet I brought up, and it was a fake account, and people were roasting me for the next two shows. So I don't know 100% if it's him. I'm gonna say allegedly. I'm not 100% sure if that was Bobby Webster, but if that was him, that was one of the better Halloween costumes I've seen in quite some time. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from Fred. What I wanted to get into, Kyle, was who I believe was the tax man of the night. And to me, that just had to be Pascal Siakam. Your Can-Am tax player of the night, Pascal Siakam out of Cameroon, our guy, a guy many people were waiting on to have this type of game. He finished with, I believe it was 32 points. Pascal Siakam finished with 32 points, 8 rebounds, 10 for 12 from the field, 9 for 10 from free throw. He hit all of his threes, and he was a plus 19. So that is your Can-Am Taxman of the night. And speaking of Can-Am CPA is a full-service small business accounting and tax firm with an experienced and friendly staff that can help you navigate a triangle offense better than Kyle Brickman. Can-Am also provides personal tax preparation and can recover the refunds that you are entitled to. Don't leave your money on the table. If you have questions about personal taxes, Can-Am would be happy to help out the Raptors community, especially the wrap-up community. So check out the Google reviews and visit Can-Am at www.canamtax.com. You guys see it on the screen. That's www.canamtax.com. Thank you to Can-Am for sponsoring this live show. And we're back, guys, because your tax man, like I said, all the Siakam haters are sleeping. My brother, where's my brother at? I was hearing a lot of Siakam slander. Where is he at? I hear him snoring. He's gone. He's out. He's out cold. I'm loving it. I think this team functions at its best, Kyle, when Pascal plays well. I truly believe that. And like I said, Pascal's a confidence player. Like, this is a guy that comes in and you saw it. He made his first, I think, 2 or 3 shots, and you knew immediately. You're like, okay, this is going to be one of those games, Kyle. Do you have any last thoughts about Pascal's game?
I thought that the Pascal Birch, we're gonna have to get in the lineup data to really confirm this, but I thought the Pascal Birch
Mhm.
combination worked really well, even if they didn't like they weren't necessarily involved with one another all game. Like it's not like Birch was really setting that many screens for Pascal. I kind of thought that it worked really well, and I'm interested to see like that is probably the Raptors' best front court pairing moving forward. So we'll see how that develops with OG out. Also, Pascal probably speaks French, right? He's Cameroonian. So I imagine him like,
Mhm.
do you think he
He does.
speaks to Birch and Boucher in French?
Off the court? I don't know about on the court. I think that's pretty difficult.
Yeah, but I'm just that's because I've always thought Birch and Boucher are probably speaking French like casually amongst each other, being francophone people. I wonder if like
Yeah.
Siakam's making his way into that that little crowd. Like the Raptors have a little French contingency going on. And I said in a quick react, like let's get a little nickname for Boucher and Birch. Like we're still working on that.
Yeah,
So
we
if
got to
anyone
work on
has any
that.
ideas, throw that in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sure on the flight here to the West Coast, Siakam could probably sit beside anybody and stir up a conversation. But yeah, there are some French speaking guys. I mean, the Raptors have made it. What's so cool about this team is they've also made it, a priority to get a bunch of international players on this team. Now you're seeing Canadians, Delano Banton, who's literally from down the street from the Scotiabank Arena, which is super cool. I love it. Jack Armstrong, he does. Yep, you're right. See, this is why I love having a producer. He does call them the Killer Bees, so I love that. I like that one. But I mean, that's Jack Armstrong, Kyle. We can't just we don't want to get some mail and next thing you know, Jack's taking us to court because we're using the Killer Bees. I don't want
Yeah,
to
he
do.
seems like a
I
very
don't want to do that.
litigious individual. That's what I'll say.
Our comment section is great, so I'm gonna let you guys handle that. What are we gonna call Boucher and Birch? I'm gonna let you guys handle that over the next couple shows. But I loved what I saw. I loved what I saw from the team tonight. Kem looked great. Chris looked great. Pascal looked great. Gary Trent looked great. Who am I missing? Scotty could have been better, but I mean, if there's a game you want to struggle, it's probably this one. So it's okay. Your team got away with it. Svi, we didn't even talk about Svi. He came in and was really changing it for the Raptors. He had some buckets himself. I'm happy for Svi. And I think that's it. I think I named just about everyone who I thought, played. I mean, Dragic, oh, that hurts. Dragic is just sleeping down there. He's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, Dragic is taking a dirt nap at the bottom of the box score every single night. And I actually talked about this in one of the quick reacts as well. It's like this is a situation that can't be great. Like at some point he's got to be fed up because I'm sure he wants to play. So we'll monitor that. I think he's not going to.
I don't know. I think at first I think when he first started collecting the DNPs, I was like, I don't know how someone would be okay with this because I'm sure he just feels like this is just a waste. Like just buy me out at this point. And I thought, normally when this happens to players, they cause a stir and you start hearing things. Credit to Goran. Like this is a guy who initially said he didn't want to come here. So credit to him. He's been quiet about it. He looks interested on the bench. He's clapping. He's doing his thing. So credit to him. It's just if I see him after the trade deadline, Kyle, still on this team, we might have a problem, to be quite honest. I think that'll wrap it up for tonight. We were on for almost 50 minutes. It's almost 1:30 in the morning. I don't know how we have 200 live viewers. Guys, I appreciate you so much. Guys and girls, I see everybody's in here tonight. Kyle, do you want to tell them what the over-under was on what we thought the viewership would be tonight? Because I took the over.
At halftime, I was saying over under 140 viewers, and we've crushed that.
Although, I'm taking Manny's job, man. I'm running the lineup from now on.
I think if you guys are taking action with me, like that's a good. I'm a pretty easy house for gamblers. If anyone wants any action, I guess.
I love that.
We'll adjust the line and move on.
I told you I might have to. Kyle, I might have to start running the lineup now. Just take Manny's job entirely before games. The way I'm gambling. Yeah, we crushed that. We're at 200 plus live viewers, which is awesome. We appreciate it. We love you guys. It's 1:30 in the morning if you're in Toronto or on the East Coast. So we appreciate you guys more than anything, honestly. We say that a lot, and I know it sounds like cliche, but we really do. I don't know. I'm heading to bed after this. I don't know what you guys are doing. Kyle, I appreciate you coming on as well. Kyle from Raptors Republic. And yeah, that was it. That was it for tonight, guys. Before you guys leave us, we need you to we need you to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget, guys. Do not forget. Do not leave. I already see 10 people are leaving, guys. We need you to like before you leave. Comment, subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. This was the Wrap Up Your Raptors Republic post-game live show where your Toronto Raptors finally came out with a win versus the Sacramento Kings, 108-89, bringing their record to 8-9 on the year. This live show was produced by none other than my man, Kyle's man, Chris Howson-Jan. And that was it for myself, Kyle, and Chris. We will hopefully see you guys very soon. I think it's tomorrow night, Chris, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's a back-to-back. Am I wrong? Kyle, I mean, Chris, can we see the schedule before we go?
It's Sunday. And I'm gonna say that win, huge game against Golden State, a win there to get back to 500, and that's a big morale boost. That could be a season-altering win.
Let's go, guys. If we beat the Warriors on Sunday, then we're talking. We will see you soon. Sweet dreams.